Здравствуйте! Я наконец-то разузнал все про ядерный удар по Москве, который был в 1812 году.
Conspiracy theories. We all love them, we all hate them, and we all secretly believe in them. People from all over the world believe in conspiracy theories, and Russia is no exception. I've actually talked about quite a few Russian conspiracy theories on this channel before. For example, the conspiracy theory that the Soviet Union, the USSR, still exists, like legally as a real country right now, and that Russia is like a fake country and it doesn't actually exist. Yeah, that's a fun one. There's also a conspiracy theory about Putin, like dying a couple of years ago and actually being replaced by a double or a clone, and there's also like a theory about Putin having multiple clones actually. Yeah, pretty entertaining. But in today's video, guys, I'm about to talk about a Russian conspiracy that is so unhinged that I actually didn't believe my eyes when I heard about it. This conspiracy states that during the French invasion of Russia, or the so-called War of 1812, when the French advanced to Moscow and the Russian troops left Moscow and set it on fire so that the French basically wouldn't have anything to take. That's an actual fact, by the way. I don't know if you knew about that, but yeah. Well, the theory states that actually in 1812 it was not just a regular fire. The city was just set on fire by some regular means that were appropriate at the time. No, in fact, what really happened is that in 1812 Moscow had a nuclear weapon dropped on it. A nuke. I'm not making this up. Now, guys, I don't think I need to explain why this theory seems insane. I mean, nukes in 1812, that's kind of wild, right? But a lot of people beg to differ, and they think that in 1812 there was a nuke that was dropped in Moscow which caused the fire. And also there's a lot of evidence that supports this theory, and maybe the entire war of France against Russia wasn't really a war of France against Russia, but was more of a nuclear conflict that happened in the 19th century that, I don't know, the reptiloids are hiding from us. I don't know why, guys, they just are. Now, I'm actually not exactly aware where this originally came from, but there's a lot of information on like random websites in Russian. Some of these posts are like, you know, people like me basically making fun of it, saying how this is like the most ridiculous theory they've heard, but there's actually a couple of like conspiracy websites where you go on and people are like being completely serious. They're being dead ass about this. So yeah, once again, I give you the historical context. When Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Russia, the Russian army lost to the French in the legendary battle of Borodino, and essentially the French were moving in into Moscow, and what happened is that the Russian army decided that they're gonna move the entirety of the population of Moscow out of the city, move all the troops as well, and just set the city on fire so that the French could not take Moscow. Maybe says a lot about the Russian mentality, you know, we're gonna set the shit on fire, but you can't have it. Ни себе, ни людям, как говорится. But yeah, now let's read about why people think that it was not just a fire, but it was a nuclear explosion of Moscow. Essentially, here are the main arguments. First of all, they say that the Russian or the French side neither really wanted to burn Moscow, like there was no point to it. And I'm not a historian, but you know, these conspiracy people, they provide a lot of sources, you know, like war leaders both on the French and the Russian side. These just might be made up as well, like nobody fucking knows. There's also apparently a lot of eyewitnesses who said that when the fire would go out in certain areas of Moscow, it would start in other areas randomly. So definitely a nuke. Another quite interesting argument is that the way Moscow of that time is portrayed is that it was a city basically made out of wood fully, so that is why it was very easy to burn essentially, you know, it was like the fire of London kind of. But apparently the truth is that Moscow was mainly made of stone, and it wouldn't make sense for it to burn that well. And after this fire of Moscow, as these reptiloids are calling it, 75% of Moscow was completely destroyed. The Kremlin was in ruins, pretty much the entirety of the historical city center, etc. And essentially the main argument is that there is no way that Moscow could be destroyed this much and this quickly just by a fire, or like by regular dynamite. And also apparently right now in Moscow there's a lot of radiation. Just the level of radiation is pretty high, which suggests that there was a nuke that was exploded in 1812. This is like nonsense. I mean, every city has radiation. Okay, so this is pretty convincing so far, but the conspiracy actually has more to it. There's actual documents, actual receipts, actual evidence that this happened. Let me just read it for you guys, and you'll see how trustworthy this evidence really is. A few years ago, some Moscow governmental official bought a abandoned mansion on the south of France. After buying it, he started renovating it, and in one of the sections of an old cabinet, he found a diary of some guy called Charles Artois, a lieutenant of Napoleon's army, who apparently returned to France after the war, and his diary had information about what really happened in 1812 in Russia. And these are the quotes from the diary. I was standing in the yard of a big Russian house. The sun above Moscow was low and was shining a golden light. Suddenly, a second sun appeared, very bright, very white, and very blinding. It only shined for about 5 seconds, but it actually burned the face of Paul Berger, who was chilling on the balcony balcony. The walls and the roof of the house started to burn. I asked the soldiers to put out the fire with some water, and we saved it. The other buildings that were closer to this new sun started burning. It was this sudden blink of lights that was the reason of the terrible fire that destroyed Moscow. So yeah, guys, you know, seems legit. It's there's no sources. There's no sources provided. I actually tried to Google Charles Artois, and I can't find any information about any Napoleon general like that. He probably did not exist, and this story is made up. Just some corrupt Russian politician buying a mansion in France and finding a fucking diary that says there was a nuclear explosion in 1812 in Moscow. Of course, yeah, I believe it. But guys, it does not just end there. Here's another entry in his diary made a week later. My hair started falling out. I told this to Jourdan, and he was facing the same issue. I think our whole regiment is about to become bald. A lot of our horses have fallen sick, which the vets have no idea about. And yeah, then he basically says that we're leaving Moscow, and the only thing that, you know, helps us going forward because we're so tired and sick is the hope to see our country of France again. So yeah, seems legit, guys. There was a second sun that appeared in the air. Let's not even think about the fact that there should be a nuclear blast that would fucking send you flying if you were in a radius of like you know, 50 kilometers or something. Nothing about that in this entry. I guess the guy who was some fucking 15-year-old in Russia who was writing this shit didn't know that there was a shockwave that appears after a nuclear blast. But also, we can clearly see effects of radiation. Frenchmen having their hair fall out and becoming bald, the horses going sick and everything. It was a nuclear explosion, guys. It was radiation. Motherfuckers would get killed. I'm convinced, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I'm an 1812 Moscow nuke truther. And what's funny is that this theory doesn't even claim that the French did it or that the Russians did it. It's just like nobody knows. So it says that about 30,000 people died in Moscow of French people, and this so-called Charles Artois became disabled as a result of this, and he came back to France and died at the age of 32 without any kids. So he was fucked up by the radiation, definitely. First Chernobyl survivor was this French guy. The next owner of the mansion, by the way, professor of physics and mathematics, of course, read the diary, consulted with experts, and came up with a theory that the French army that occupied Moscow in 1812 was struck by a nuclear weapon. most sane fucking scientists in all of Russia, of course. Now, before we get to the meat and potatoes, which is my favorite part, which is the explanation why this happened and who could have done this, let's look at some other quick facts that these people who believe this theory say prove that there was a nuclear explosion in 1812. Apparently, the summer of 1816 in Western Europe and also North America was extremely cold. It was like the coldest summer ever, and it was called the year without a summer. And according to them, that was the results of basically the residue of the explosion, the nuclear explosion in 1812 in Russia. Another point that they make is also that all of the forests in Russia, or at least in Moscow region, are pretty young and are not older than 200 years. No proof of this is provided, and none of them are like tree experts or whatever the science of it is called, but I believe it. And also, according to some of the more deranged people that believe in this theory, cancer only appeared first in the 19th century, which is not true, by the way. Cancer existed before, but essentially these people think that only after this nuclear explosion of 1812, that was the first time where cancer appeared on Earth. There was no cancer before, so cancer started in Russia. How about that? Now let's talk about who did this and why there was an explosion in the first place and where they got this technology from. First version that these conspiracy websites give is that it might have actually not been a nuclear bomb, but a fall of a meteor. Basically, guys, Chelyabinsk 2013, never forget, they basically experienced the same thing, but it actually crashed into the ground in Moscow and killed everybody. Not like that would literally destroy like half of Europe, but whatever, it's a plausible variant. There's also a second version, which actually prefers my favorite, is that this nuclear airstrike was done by the request of the Russian government by the Great Ancients, which is, I'm reading out of the text, by the way, a crypto civilization that lives in underground Rus. This is basically some, you know, Hyperborea type shit, you know, like, actually that's a video I should make about that kind of conspiracy theory about like the super ancient civilization of Russia, and how like Russians are definitely, of course, the first people to ever exist, and there's like a secret civilization of Hyperborea that like still exists underground, like under earth or some shit, and their technologies are crazy, right? So they had nukes in 1812, and the Russian government just called them up and were like, yeah, we need to fuck these motherfuckers up. And the Hyperboreans gave them the nuke to destroy the French. I believe it. That's actually badass, bro. Sounds like a movie. I believe that. That is my theory, bro. And also there is a theory about time travel, that apparently this was done by time travelers for some reason to save Russia from the French. I have no fucking idea. And I mean, like, these articles, they're just full of like bullshit diary entries that never existed. I mean, first of all, citation needed. You know, that's like the main, that's what you can call this video. Citation fucking needed. There's like text in Russian referring to some mystical fucking diaries of generals and like governmental officials of France, which probably never existed. There was some crazy shit that was going on in 1812 between France and Russia. You know, guys, if you're French, if you know anything about this, I know I got a lot of French viewers, so go down in the comments and please tell me if your great-great-great-great-grandpa was fighting in Russia in 1812. He might have seen some shit that he shouldn't have. So let me know. I want to know this information because we need to make this theory even more serious. This should be canon. This is actually what happens. Anyways, guys, yeah, I guess this is gonna be pretty much it for today's video, though. I just found out about this quite recently randomly and I thought this was amazing. If you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, more conspiracy themed videos, please make sure to slap the like on this video. I hope you did enjoy this video as well. Also, guys, if you want to support me additionally, then go over to the description. I have codes of my crypto wallets down there. You can donate to me if you want to support me and stuff. And yeah, guys, I guess this is gonna be pretty much it for today's video, though, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.